John Maxwell, in one of his books, says, when we help others, we help ourselves. And this is part of the Boomerang Principle, and that's what he calls it. So when we help others, we help ourselves. So there is actually a somewhat of a selfish perspective on why we might want to help other people, because it comes back to us like a boomerang. You can throw it and it comes back to you. When we help other people, we actually help ourselves. Okay? So, and it's not that we want to actually target trying to be helped ourselves, and that's why we help other people. That's not what I'm saying, but that's a nice side effect that comes from that. When you help other people, you're actually helping yourself. Not everybody kind of catches onto that. Jim Rohn also says, you can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want out of life. It's basically saying the same thing. You can get anything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want out of life. There are three types of people that I want to discuss. Three types of people. So the first are takers, the second are traders, and the third are investors. Okay? We're going to dig into those in detail. So takers receive and never give. Their primary motivation is to advance themselves. Anybody know any takers ever? Right? People that steal, for instance, they're takers. They're not looking to give it back. They're just looking to take it and keep it. That's why they're called takers. Takers are never satisfied. Have you ever met a thief that's satisfied with the amount that they've taken? It's never enough. So let's look at the law of sowing and reaping. When you are a taker, there's never enough, because when you take, you don't have. It goes back to the paradox of generosity. We talked about this in the past, and the paradox of generosity says that when you give, you will have more. When you take, you will have less. Even though common sense might tell you that if I take, I'll have more, and if I give, I'll have less. It's the opposite, right? And so takers will always have less, and so they're always going to be thirsty. It's like a shark with blood. It's never enough. Okay. Some takers are takers intentionally, so they intentionally take. It's driven by greed or pride or lust or whatever it is. And some takers are unintentional. They're unintentional takers, and that might be driven by fear or desperation. Sometimes people have like emotional wounds that cause them to be takers. They consume people's time. They're looking for affirmation, and they're consumed by it. Have you met anybody like that, that have kind of an emotional wound and they're needy? That they can be takers. They don't mean to be that way, but they've been wounded. They've got something that causes them to be stuck, and so they're takers. And maybe we've all been takers at times in our lives. So we're not dividing this up into groups and segregating. We've all spent time being takers. So takers typically have a I win, you lose philosophy. So they're really looking out for number one. They're looking out for their own needs, and your needs are not as important to them.
Not even relevant.
Yep, not even relevant. So let's move on. So the second group of people are the traders. Traders receive and then give. Okay, their primary motivation is not to help others, but it's to help themselves first. But they're fine helping other people as long as they're helped first. They partner with others to serve themselves. So it's not unusual to partner with somebody and to actually help somebody else, but that's the secondary effect of it. Your primary effect is to help yourself. They will never give more than they receive. Okay, and guilt plays a role oftentimes with traders, and they're scorekeepers. So if you're a trader, let me give you an example. This is something I think you'll all be able to relate to. Sometimes we have people that in our company or in our business that want raises, or they want to have a promotion. And they might take the perspective that I will work harder if you give me a raise. You give me a raise and then I'll work harder. Okay? This is a trader. This is a person that's looking out for their own interest first, your interest second. That's why they phrase it that way. They're not They're not trying to sow something first and reap later. They're trying to reap first and sow later. That's backwards, isn't it? It violates the law of sowing and reaping. Okay? And traders are everywhere. Now, we're all traders at times. And being a trader isn't necessarily wrong. When we go to the gas station and we put gas in our cars, we're a trader, right? We're taking the gas and we're giving them money for that. We're making an exchange. And we're not more interested in serving that gas station attendant as we are getting gas in our car. That's our primary concern. And that's okay. Trading is just part of commerce. It happens in the marketplace every day. But when it comes to being a leader and helping someone else grow and become better, you can't be a trader. You can't be, because when you're using somebody else to benefit yourself, you don't help them grow. You're trying to get them to help you grow. Make sense? So traders will always have a I win first, you win second approach. They're interested in the other person winning, and they like to make deals. They like to negotiate. They like to make sure that their customer maybe is satisfied, but they want to make sure that they get theirs first. Okay, that's a trader. Anybody, can you relate to that? Anybody know that you have tendencies that way? I know I do. I have tendencies of being a trader at times. And we all spend time being traders, probably more often than what we would like to admit. And maybe some people are like, yeah, I'm always that way. So, all right.
Even more times than you're actually aware of.
Right. Yeah, we don't even know how often we do that because it's such a natural, normal thing. And we don't think of that as something wrong. It's like, yeah, what's wrong with that? Well, it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with doing that, but the problem is what does that do for you? What does that do for other people? Does that help you move to the next level, or does that keep you stuck in the same place?
They're
Makes
very
sense?
much like takers, really. Very close.
Yeah.
Except for they actually care enough, like, I know I need to give something back.
Well, what's the common denominator?
It's for yourself.
It's for yourself, right? So no matter what, you can't escape that. If you're a taker or you're a trader, it's still about you. Let's move on. So the third group of people are investors. Investors give and then receive. Their primary motivation is to put others' needs first. Investors don't expect a return, but realize the effect on giving comes back to them like a boomerang. It comes back to them. That's what they recognize. If I give first, if I work really hard at my job now and I give more than what I'm getting paid for, I'm going to reap something down the road that's better. So you're sowing something great for the future so that I can reap it later. Okay? But in order to do that, you have to give more than what you receive. And that's what investors do. They actually invest in other people's lives. They not only invest in other people's lives, but they might invest in their own future by saying no to something now so they can say yes to something later. But in this case, we're really talking about investing in other people. So investors desire to make everything and everyone they touch better. So people that are investors and they think this way and they have that frame of mind, they want to help the people around them. They want to be a benefit to them. That's what they value. They have a great value in that. They're not thinking about their immediate needs. They're thinking about other people's immediate needs and their future needs, because they know that if I meet other people's immediate needs, my future needs will be taken care of. Make sense? So it's again, it's that same thing. You're helping other people to help yourself. You have to be willing to do it even if you're not going to get anything back. Yeah, exactly. You're just gonna lose out, and that's okay. Investors always have a higher cause. So the bottom line, the most important factor is not their desires, their wants. That's not the higher cause. The higher cause might be something bigger than themselves. It might be a disease that has affected their family. And so they're convicted by that, and they want to spend the rest of their lives creating a foundation to beat this disease because it's personal. There's a lot of people that had that change, and all of a sudden it didn't become about them. It's about other people, and they're going to invest. And that's what sets people apart. So out of these three category people, Tate identified that. The first two are it's about me. This third one, an investor, it's not about me. So when I'm an investor, it can't be about me. In fact, you can't be a trader and be a good coach. You can't. And that's why I'm going through these three, because if you're going to be a good coach and invest in other people, you can't be a taker. You can't be a taker because takers will never coach anybody. They don't have any reason to even want to. Traders aren't going to be a good coach either. They might have some idea that something will come back to them first, but that's going to, if they're traders, it's going to come out, and they're not going to fool anybody. So in order to really invest in people from a leadership perspective, you have to cross that line and become an investor in other people. Okay? Everybody understand that? That's really important, because that's the central piece to this whole message.